Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Spencer Robinson. How are you?
Good afternoon, Chow. I'm very well. I'm here in Penang in Malaysia, and it's a pleasure to be with you and all your golf followers in Bangladesh and around Asia.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. So I should call you by Spencer or Robinson?
Spencer is fine.
Okay, great. I can remember, yeah, it's long time. Last time you around, you had been with us in July 2020. So
Yes.
as you see the subject topic today, we'll discuss golf in Asia specifically, and due to COVID, its effect on golf. COVID, how does it affect the golf itself, especially international golf in Asia, all around the Asian countries. So first, I want to know, Mr. Spencer, you have been right. Rather, you're still a senior journalist. You work, you write, you comment on golf
Yes.
for a long time, and you told me last time that you had been also with cricket. So how did all it started with your journey with golf? Can you share a little bit on that?
Well, I'll take you back a long time where I grew up in England and I played a little bit of golf, although cricket was my favorite sport and the sport that I was best at. And when I left school, when I was 17 years old in England, I joined a local newspaper just outside London. And my main duties were as a sports reporter covering about cricket and golf. And I got to love those. And then in 1984, I was offered a job on the South China Morning Post in Hong Kong. So I was still a young man then, and I flew out and I had a wonderful time. And again, my main duties there, in fact, I was the football correspondent, and I also continued writing about cricket and golf. And the situation then, it was very fortunate for me because in 1984, when I arrived in Hong Kong, that was the year that the first modern day golf course opened in China, just across the border from Hong Kong. And it was designed by Arnold Palmer. And then in the late 1980s, we had the first ever golf boom in China. And we had courses opening up all over, in Shenzhen in the south, up to Shanghai and Beijing and all other parts of China. And we had these great golfers, Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player. And because I was writing about golf, I was very fortunate to get invited along to spend time whenever any of these guys came to China and then to other parts of Asia. And so that was really how I got into golf writing in a big way. And in 1990, going back 30 years now, which is hard to believe, I actually launched the first golf magazine in Asia. And we were based out of Hong Kong then, and we distributed it regionally. And it was just at the time that, as I say, the number of golf courses were growing and the Asian Tour was starting up and getting a little bit stronger, and we had better amateur players. And so I've been very fortunate to have a wonderful 20, 30 years in Asia covering a lot of tournament golf, covering the opening of new golf courses. And one of the great things has been to see how golf has developed in non-traditional golfing countries, such as Bangladesh. And as you know, Chow, I'm very heavily involved in the Faldo series, and I help them out. And it's been wonderful to see Bangladesh come on board and to be part of that, playing against these players from Japan and Korea and all these established golfing nations. And likewise, as you know, I'm now also helping out with the Asia Pacific Golf Confederation as their communications manager. And it's a wonderful organization that oversees 45 national golfing associations in the Asia Pacific region. So this includes Australia and New Zealand. It includes, if you go into the Middle East, Qatar and Abu Dhabi and all the countries there. Obviously, South Asia with India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and all
Here
over
it's
the
reminding
rest.
me, Mr. Spencer, you're also there in AGIF, Asian Golf Industry also. You're with them also.
Correct. And that's a wonderful organization that I have been with for 7 years now. And that was formed to help the industry as a whole to grow. So that's not really about tournament golf. And what's
So
interesting,
what's about
and
your journalist career? You have been with right. You have been writing. Still, you write. I have been receiving your writings with
I
wonderful,
do.
wonderful, wonderful writings on golf, and you have
Thank
shown the path
you.
how to write golf. I must say, a lot of journalists around Asia have learning writing golf, how to write golf. And another point, I have seen you have been also commenting in ESPN and also Fox Sports and also the Asian TV. So what's
Yes.
about all these? Are you continuing these writings and all this commenting till today?
I'm certainly continuing with all of the writing now, and I write for many different publications. And as you know now, the publishing industry has changed, and we've moved away from the print media, the magazines, and most of the golf writing now and all magazines have gone online, they've gone digital. And so I still write exclusively for one big magazine in Japan, for one in the UK, and then I contribute to the Global Golf Post, which is the biggest digital golf
Yeah.
magazine in the world.
Yes.
So I'm still very heavily involved in that. Unfortunately, because of the lockdown and we haven't been able to travel, I've been stuck here in my home in Malaysia now for the last 18 months or so. And so I haven't been able to go to the Fox Sports studio, which is in Singapore. But I hope I'll get an opportunity to do more of that if or when the borders open up
Okay.
and
Okay.
when we can go
Yeah.
back there.
Yeah. Great. Wonderful to hear all this. Okay, Mr. Spencer. Now, if I move towards a little bit of your APGC, Asia Pacific Golf Federation activities and other international golf activities of Asia, I find if I call in one word, it's quite deadlocked. The
Yes.
international golf in Asian countries is just
Yeah.
locked, just shut down. All golf within the country, domestic golf is going on scatteredly in Bangladesh, in Thailand, in Malaysia, bit of in Singapore maybe. But the level of Asian golf we used to find before COVID, that is Asian Tour, professional tournaments, Asian amateur tournaments like APGC, like Nomura
Yes.
Cup, all these are had to be kept suspended. I mean, postponed, has to be
Yes.
postponed due to COVID. Whereas I find the Europe and America, they're continuing international golf like PGA tours, European tours.
Yes.
Maybe the
Well,
number. Okay, go ahead. What is your thought on this? The effect of
yeah.
COVID?
Well, first of all, to say, Chow, it's very sad. Obviously, in so many areas, the disruptions that COVID has brought along, and there's so many serious things going on with illnesses and people losing their lives, and so we have to keep this in perspective. But obviously, from a sports point of view and a golf point of view, it's been very sad. And the big problem that we have in Asia, and I've spoken with a lot of golf officials about this, unlike Europe or the United States, in the end, it comes down to quarantining. And we had to put out, on behalf of the APGC last week, a press release, which I think you saw, saying that we've had to postpone again the Nomura Cup, which is the Asian Amateur Team Championship.
The biggest tournament, yeah.
It's the biggest tournament. It's wonderful every 2 years. And the reason it had to be postponed, it was due to take place in Hong Kong in July. And we'd all been looking forward to it. But the reality is now that anyone who goes to Hong Kong, you have to do 3 weeks hotel quarantine. So if you think that any tournaments, any players, any officials would have to arrive basically 1 month before the tournament starts, They would then have to do 3 weeks stuck in their hotel room. So they couldn't go to the driving range. They couldn't go to the putting green. They wouldn't be able to practice. Then when they finished their quarantine, they would need at least 3 or 4 days of practice and playing the course to get used to it. Then they would have the 4 or 5 days of the golf tournament. And then they would go back to their home countries, where again, many of them would have to serve another quarantine period. So in reality, you'd be looking at maybe a 5 or 6 week period that people would have to give up to play a 1 week golf tournament. And obviously, Chow, on top of all of that, there's then the expenses. You have to quarantine in a hotel. So who pays that? The players can't afford individually. Many of the golf associations don't have those sort of funding to be able to do it. So I know the main priority of the Asia Pacific Golf Confederation with all of its tournaments is the safety and the well-being of all of its players and officials and the host clubs. And very sad to say, it was just felt that it was not fair at this time, while all these quarantine restrictions remain in place, that it just wouldn't have been feasible to go ahead with the tournament. And you know,
what's about Europe and America? Do they?
Well, it's very interesting. They have much looser quarantine, and obviously America, you have to remember, it's one country.
No quarantine.
There's no, if you travel within America, you don't have to quarantine. So you don't have that problem. And that comes back to why the PGA Tour is able to continue, because all the players are based in America. So they're not in America 1 week, then coming to Asia, and then going to Europe. They will be in soon, going to England for the British Open, which is in July. But again, I believe there are special bubble negotiations being discussed so that the players will arrive on charter planes. They'll stay in these
Mr. Spencer, I'll come back to you because I have been getting a lot of comments from audience, and also few audience want to directly talk to you with some questions. Let me address. One has already answered.
Please.
So let me address some of the audience comments. Read rather. Mr. Niaz Bhaiya has written, good afternoon. Sagma, good afternoon. Okay, Mujahidur Rahman. He was our previous guest, one of the episode. Commentary is ornament of sports. Please, valuable comments. Okay, I'll go to you later. Mr. Santo. Mr. Hassan also, there are a lot of, one I find has logged in. Today we allowed audience to log in directly and ask the question. Let's see.
No, that's fabulous.
Okay, Mr. Sanjoy. Okay, I find Mr. Sanjoy.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello, hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Can you a little bit lower yourself? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Okay,
hello.
go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay,
sir.
go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. I had 2 questions for you, sir. Where are you from, sir? Hello, sir. Are you listening me? Hello?
Yes.
Sir, where are you from, sir?
I am originally from London in England, and I moved to Asia in 1984. So I have spent the last 36 years of my life here in Asia. I was in Hong Kong for 18 years, and then I was in Singapore, and more recently, I've moved to Malaysia in Penang, which is where I am now speaking to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I had one more question, sir. Where is APGC office, sir?
APGC office, you want to mean?
APGC. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Asian Golf Federation he's talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the APGC has a board of directors who are spread all over Asia, but they have their main office in Kuala Lumpur and also in Melbourne, Australia. And it covers the whole of the Asia Pacific region.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sanjay. Thank you for your questions. Okay, so we'll be allowing a few other audience if you want to log in. You wait there. I'll allow you, and let us continue our discussion, Mr. Spencer. We are trying to make it more interactive so that people are interested and know golf more. Where aim is simple, is to spread golf, to let others know about golf. Okay, Spencer. Mr. Spencer, as you had been saying, the effect of COVID, yeah, is it disturbance of internet? Like drops sometimes, yeah. Okay, so you are an expert, you are a journalist, senior journalist on media. So can you elaborate a little on how media can help the cause of
Hello.
yeah? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I lost you for a minute there. I think I heard the first part
Yeah,
about the
can you hear me,
media.
Mr.?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, I'm back. Can you hear me, Joe?
Hello, the internet was disturbing, so we are live. Yeah, I think we are live. Yeah, can you hear me, Mr. Spencer?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah. It was a long stoppage, I think, but we had been in live. Maybe I mean the connection was disturbed, internet connectivity. So I think now we can hear me properly.
Good.
Okay. Okay, let us move forward with the other discussion points. Like you had been telling about this media's role. If you tell something about role of media, how role, I mean, media can help to overcome this crisis, COVID crisis.
Well, I think the way that the media can help is by really doing as much as possible to keep golf firmly in the spotlight. And as I mentioned earlier, there are so many golfing websites now, and then people have their own Facebook pages and Instagram, and they're posting their pictures. So I think the more exposure that we can give to golf to keep it in the limelight, the better. And you know, one of the ironic things that has happened during the COVID pandemic is that it's actually, in a way, helped golf to grow the number of people who play it. Because in many countries, even though golf courses were shut down for a short time, when they reopened, people recognized that it was naturally social distancing to be on a golf course. You're out in the open air. You're in the beautiful countryside, and you're not having direct contact with other people. And what we found is that that has encouraged more people, and particularly families that maybe before would have been out playing football or volleyball or other contact sports, which are now not permitted at the moment. And so we found in many countries that the number of golfers and the number of golf rounds has actually increased. And what we're hoping is that all of the national golf associations can really improve on this by setting up more junior development programs, more coaching programs, and together with
Robinson,
the
Mr. Spencer, I'll go to that your point, but here I want to add something more. Like, does this crisis COVID pose a expose about non-existence of a regulating body for golf, like football, FIFA? You see other sports like cricket, football, they are continuing even after, I mean, this crisis, during this crisis, during COVID, they have adopted some regulation, quarantine or not quarantine in some countries, like you see FIFA, European football, even in almost other sports are reopening or already open. So we don't have anybody central body for golf. Does we really have? What's your opinion on that? That what should have been done from Asia or from world stage organization like R&A or IGF or APGC, your
yeah.
organization? What else
Yeah.
can be done?
Well, I think first of all, we have to say that golf has been continuing, and we've just had the most magnificent month of April for Asian golfers, and particularly Japanese golfers in America. At the start of April, we had a 17-year-old Japanese girl called Tsubasi Kajitani, who won the Augusta National Women's Amateur Championship. It was only the second time this event has happened, and it's the first time ever an Asian golfer had won in America. And then the following week, we had the US Masters, which, as you know, is one of the four major championships in golf. And it was, again, very historic for Asia. We had Japan's Hideki Matsuyama winning the tournament. And it was the first time in 85 years, ever since the tournament started, that we had an Asian player to win that tournament, and the first time a Japanese player has ever won the US Masters and a major. And this was huge news all over Asia. And I know many friends in Japan, they stayed up all night watching it. And This guy
Yeah,
Hideki.
I got you. That's a good news. Of course, a huge news for us for golf of Asia. But what's about golf in Asia, on the ground of Asia? International golf, not on the ground of soil of Asia. Not
Well,
happening.
in Asia, as we've said, it's been very difficult because of the problems, particularly with quarantine. I've been in touch a couple of times over the last 18 months with
What is
the.
your opinion? Does we have any world regulatory body like FIFA for golf?
Sorry, I missed that. Is there a body like FIFA?
Yeah,
Well,
regulating body.
we have, as you know, the ruling bodies of amateur golf are the RNA and the United States Golf Association. For professional golf, we have all the
IGF.
independent tours around the world. So you've got
And
the
also
USP.
IGF attempts coordinate. Yeah, IGF they attempt sanction and coordinate. Yeah, IGF.
Yes,
Confederation.
and the IGF will be overseeing the golf tournament at the Olympic Games, which is due to take place in Tokyo, Japan at the end of July. So golf is a bit different like that. We don't have one ruling body for professional golf that looks after the global game. It's all done on a regional basis.
So what should be done? What should Asian Tour should do to reopen professional golf in Asia, and APGC should do to reopen the amateur golf in Asia? What they should do? What should they do with the countries, with the regions? What efforts may be taken? Do you think?
Yeah. Well, it's a very difficult question to answer, and I defend the Asian Tour and the APGC and all these bodies because they can only proceed and do things that the governments around Asia allow them to. And as we've talked about, as long as the governments keep these quarantine periods, it's very difficult to justify the expense and the problems that go with it. And, Chow, we're not just talking about the players and the host club. We're talking about television coverage, who are going to do that, then the logistics with sending this around the world. So it's not as simple. And I know the Asian Tour Commissioner, Cho Min Chan, has been working very hard and talking to all the countries that the Asian Tour goes to try and work out if they can put together some programs that will allow them to start again. They're desperate. A lot of these professional players, they haven't been able to earn their living now for over a year, and it's very, very difficult. But what I would say, and again, I'll give you an example of the Singapore Golf Association have started up a domestic professional circuit in Singapore. The prize money is only very small, but the point is it gives the players the opportunity to keep practicing and to keep playing in a tournament environment so that when the Asian Tour reopens, which will hopefully be in the coming months, they will be ready and prepared to be able to go out there and perform. And, we've still had the domestic tours going on in Thailand, in Korea, the Japan Golf Tour organization is going ahead. So there is still some golf, but it's restricted country by country.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you for your detailed information. Yeah, it is. So we understand it will come. Asian Tour, they will overcome. They will overcome. I personally feel that Asian Tour has got excellent organization. Is an excellent professional organization. They will overcome. And the COVID, nothing can be done, especially about the country's policy, the independent country, individual country policy.
Okay, you're right. So all I would say is I know that they are trying very hard and they're doing everything within their powers to make sure that when these restrictions are lifted, they can start again as soon as possible.
Okay. Spencer, again, I like to fall back to our audience comments.
Yes.
So the lot of audience are also putting on some comments. Mr. Asan Chaudhary Shanto, caller Shokot Usman. Good afternoon. I know this gentleman is a good player basically in Chittagong now. And Mr. Shamimuddin. So a lot of comments for you, good wishes for you. And one of the audience, I think he's locked in. Let me allow him to what he wants to know. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Jagabandhu, go ahead. Hello, Mr. Jagabandhu. Hello. Can you hear me? Oh, I think he's diddling. Okay, let me bring him back. Let me bring him, Let me bring him, Jagabandhu. Jagabandhu, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me, Mr. Jagabandhu? Hello. Can you hear me, Mr. Jagabandhu? Hello. Hello, go ahead.
Sir, what Asian countries should do to open golf?
Yeah, we have been discussing this. Is your question? Okay, please repeat your question, please. Hello. Okay, thank you. I got your point. That what we had been discussing. Okay, Mr. Spencer, he was, I mean, looking for the answers that already we discussed, like what Asian countries should do for reopening golf. Okay, so it depends on the from the individual country's policy. They should maybe little liberal like USA and Europe about the quarantine periods. Again, if it is like India situation in India now, every day people 2,500 plus people are dying. You cannot just loosen your quarantine policy. So
of course not. Of course not. And that has to be the number one priority, you know, the health and safety of everyone.
Yeah. So quarantine policy will differ country to country and based on the, I mean, the seriousness of the COVID situation there. So we only expect, pray and hope that COVID situation improves and all kind of golf in Asia get in full swing. Okay, so Mr. Spencer, I like to fall back to other discussion point that I had intention to discuss with you. You had some wonderful points last time around about golf, spreading golf. Like you told me, I can remember, is one point more and more younger golfer should be made member. In our Asian countries, maximum member golfers are aging more than 40 years. What is your opinion on that? Again.
You're absolutely right. And it's actually, you know, we said 40 years. It's actually closer to 50 or 60 is the average age of golf club members in many countries around Asia, particularly at the traditional clubs. And, you know, I have to admit that it's been very difficult in golf. And maybe they have moved very slowly in relaxing the rules to make the game more user-friendly for juniors. And one of the areas that we have campaigned for very hard is that, you know, during the weekdays, particularly, many of the golf courses, they're not busy. They're empty. So we're saying you should allow juniors and school children, obviously who are supervised and who have coaches, but to come to the facility, to go to the driving range, to use the putting green, to actually introduce them to golf. Because the fear is that as the current generation of members in their 50s, 60s, 70s die off, there are no youngsters coming through who will replace them. So it means the very model for the golf clubs will be very difficult to continue. And that's why it's so important for individual golf clubs, for national golf associations, for all of us who are in the golf industry to do everything we can to encourage young people to get into the game. And one of the great areas that we are seeing is there are more and more women coming into the game. And this is fantastic. And as we get more women coming into the game, we're seeing more families take up the game. So instead of in the past, maybe it was just the father or the husband would go off and play golf on his own with his friends. Now what we're seeing around Asia and around the world is that the husband is playing together with the wife and with their kids. So this is a wonderful development, but we have to make sure that the clubs do everything they can to help that we can increase this number. And if that means reducing the prices or giving special offers at certain times, we have to encourage that. So
Yeah, Mr. Spencer, just I like to add, yeah, in USA and in Europe, where from you are, they encourage these young children, special offers. In America, I know it's very less amount of money they make members, special member for the
Exactly.
students. So uh, this should be, yeah, also practiced in Asia. The club members, special membership and incentive should be given to young guys, kids to become member and involved in golf. Go ahead, please.
Absolutely, you're 100% right. And the other area, and I think we discussed it last year when I was on your show, was Asia desperately needs to have more public golf courses, not private clubs where it's members only. And if you look at traditional golfing countries like the United States, like Australia, like England, like Scotland, they have these huge number of public courses where you turn up and you pay as you go there. And a lot of them are very reasonable golfing rates that are affordable. And a lot of them now, they have packages that if adults go, their kids go free with them. So I think that's very important. The other thing, and I was very lucky to do an interview with Sir Nick Faldo last week, and we were talking, he's now doing a lot of golf course designs around Asia, and he was saying he's encouraging developers now to think more about women golfers and young golfers and to look at creating par 3 courses or 9-hole courses or 12
one hole, one driving range.
Yes, exactly. Things that will make it much easier and much more fun. We don't want these really difficult golf courses. It's got to be something where people can enjoy. Golf is a very hard game to play well. So we need to make it a little bit easier and a little bit more user-friendly in so many ways.
I must appreciate Nick Faldo, sir, Nick Faldo, yourself, Mr. Arun Singh from India. There are a lot of guys from APGC and others, Faldo Chiris and others. They had been working for the development for the cause of golf, especially spreading this message, taking the golf to the road. And one driving range, 1 hole, one driving range, 3-hole, 3-hole course, 6-hole course. That's what we need more and more. Okay, I'll fall back, Mr. Spencer. Let me show another clip on our country, as this show has become, it is already 141, I think you know. So we are also approached by different organizations for country branding, for branding, especially because of national branding of ourselves. So I am this show is been honored to show some activity of our country and country branding images. So let me show a little bit of. Okay, thank you, Mr. Robinson, for your time. This was basically a song by our renowned singer Samina Nobi, and it was sponsored by Leather Vision and provided to us by Tourism Ministry of Bangladesh.
That was beautiful. Lovely to see that, and I hope I can have a chance to come and visit you and to play some golf and some cricket in Bangladesh.
Most welcome. As I said last time also, but still COVID continues.
Yes.
Once COVID is over, we'll be there, right there. I'll be there to host you, of course, this time also. So let me bring another audience. He's trying to log in for a long time. Let me bring him.
Yes.
Who are you, Mr.?
Shamim, sir. Hello, sir. How are you, sir?
Fine,
very
thank
well.
You. Go ahead.
Nice to meet you.
Hello, sir. Your advice on development of Golf Bangladesh, sir.
So you of course, you'll answer that development on golf. How development can be ensured. I understand your question, but tell me something about yourself. Do you know golf, Mr. Samim?
Yes, sir. I know.
Do you watch our program?
Yes, sir. I watch your program. And
do you know Golf Bangladesh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you watch online this show at times, yeah? Or you have heard from our sister organization, ISSIT, and just joined in? Which one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got it now. You heard it from our sister organizations, and then you know golf. Now you're asking us questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Shamim. We are obliged.
Thank you, sir.
To have your question, we'll answer. Our guest will answer your question about the development of golf Bangladesh. Okay, the question was he wanted to know. He started liking, of course, maybe our program. So I think you got the questions.
Yes, well, it's like everywhere, and we said with public golf courses, you know, one of the things, golf does take up a lot of land. You need the land area, and land is obviously very expensive. So what we like to see is governments to offer plots of land that can't be used for other things. They can't be used for residential building. They can't be used to build other things on. And so they then, rather than waste the area, let's build a golf course there. And if the government can support by providing the land, it makes the whole project much more affordable so that more people will be able to come there and enjoy it.
Okay. Great. Yeah, it is. And about development of golf in country, it depends on the country's policy and country's infrastructure and all. And of course, it is on economy of that country. The golf is an expensive game. Okay, thank you, Mr. Shamim and Mr. Spencer. Let me go to another questions for you that I want to discuss with you something else. Like you already said, this public golf course, small golf courses like 3-hole course, 6-hole course, as always Nick Faldo and others prescribe. And we also prescribe it. Especially, I must say, in India, people are working hard to spread golf. Like
Yes.
Mr. Arun Singh, they're trying to change the narrative of golf. They are trying to change the narratives of golf. Once it is uttered, the word golf, game of golf, we think it's the elite game. We think it is only club-based game.
Yes.
It cannot be a common game like cricket or other sports. So the more we can make it open for all, we can take the golf route. That was so. Can you tell something more on this, Mr. Spencer? Because you're long experience as a journalist. You have seen all golf in the world, many countries of the world. Tell us something about from your experience that how can it be easily? Yeah, it is one of the points you covered. Construct less expensive courses like 1-hole and 1 driving range or 3-hole. You said, but what else can be done?
Absolutely. Well, I think driving ranges are the number one thing. And if you look at a lot of countries that have traditional golf, they've had driving ranges where anyone can turn up and you pay a very little amount to hit 30 balls or 50 balls. So you go there for an hour or so and you just go on your own, or you can go with a group of friends or family. And it's just having the chance to experience what it's like hitting a golf ball. And I think that has to be a major starting point to get people involved. There are other countries, you know, where associations, golf associations, are encouraging schools in their countries to introduce programs so that golf can be taught to young kids. And again, if you're able to do that, rather than just having them taught how to play football or cricket, but also taught how to play golf from a young age, then it stands to reason that you have more chance that some of them will want to continue and to persist with that as they get older. So we have to provide the facilities and the basics that they're able to do that.
Great. Yes, it is. It is. So we are at the end of our episode or this program. So I want to know a little again on media's role. It's very interesting, you know, golf lacks that. You said about COVID, how to come out from this crisis, but as a whole, professional golf, we talk about amateur golf in Bangladesh, in third world countries especially, we lack media exposure. Media don't want to give up exposure. Like, why should I give my space to golf once it doesn't give me return? So they give more coverage to cricket, more coverage to football and other. So what is your advice for us that how can we cope up with this situation that media should do more of our golf?
Well, it's a very difficult question, and a question that I know countries all over the world wrestle with. You know, in the United Kingdom, where I'm originally from, football is the main sport. And every day you look at the newspapers and they're filled the back pages with news about football. And it's very difficult for any other sport to make that breakthrough. What needs to happen we need to get our young superstars. When we have that, then it will change. So, as an example, when Sir Nick Faldo started winning British Opens and the US Masters, and the United Kingdom had a truly world-class player, the #1 player in the world, then golf started getting more coverage in the newspapers. It was the same in Australia. When Greg Norman came along, the great white shark, and he started winning the British Open and he was #1 in the world, that was when the coverage of golf in Australia became huge. It was the same in Spain with Seve Ballesteros. It was the same, and I can use this example, in Fiji when Vijay Singh broke through. And suddenly the profile of golf in the national media, not just the print media, but television and radio, everyone wanted to know more and be a part of it because there is someone there who's a role model, who can encourage the kids. And that's a crucial part of the media to help build up these names. And we have this model in Asia through the Asia Pacific Golf Confederation, where we have these wonderful tournaments, the Asia Pacific Amateur and the Women's Asia Pacific Amateur and the Nomura Cup. And hopefully, as soon as we get through this COVID situation, we will start those events again. We will see players from Bangladesh and 40 or 50 countries taking part and competing and hopefully going on to win and to become the next generation of role models to show that players from any country can succeed. And we have players from India now who are playing on the PGA Tour. We have players from China who are doing very well in Europe and in America, both male and female. So we have the talent. We just need to develop it more and more in these coming months and years.
Okay, Mr. Spencer, you talked about APGC, Asian Pacific Golf Confederation. So they invite golfers. I mean, this is the highest body in amateur golf. I mean, I can call them boss of golf in Asia. So they have been doing a great job, great job. Tomorrow, of course, I am honored to have the chairman. Tomorrow, at the same time, we'll have Mr. Taimur Rahman, I think. Have I correct him? Pronounced him correctly?
Taimur Hassan Amin. He is the chairman, and let me tell you, he was one of the finest golfers that South Asia has ever produced. He's quite modest, but if you ask him, he will tell you he won the Pakistan Open Amateur Championship about 10 or 15 times, and he played many of the great professional players, and he was the finest golfer ever to come out of Pakistan. And now
there I wanted to know, in fact, the best amateur tournament in Asia you conduct, that is called APGC, I mean Asian Pacific Golf Federation Amateur Championship, and you invite the players based on the world ranking. Am I correct? How do you invite? Is it based on only amateur ranking?
It's a very interesting question. And again, Taimur, when you speak to him tomorrow, will answer you better. My understanding is every member nation of the Asia Pacific Golf Confederation is invited to send their top 2 players. Now, obviously, that is taken off the World Amateur Golf Ranking. If those players do not feature, I think as long as they have reached a certain level and have a handicap of 1 or 2, they will still be allowed to represent their country in that tournament. So again, it's supposed to be this platform to expose as many young players as possible to proper tournament golf, and to encourage them to develop their games so that they can move on to the next level.
Okay, so thank you. I'll come back to you again. Here by this, I mean, I like to take a chance to inform my audience that we have 2 players from Bangladesh, only amateur players. Those are in now currently in world ranking, amateur world ranking. One is, I've got an inbox on this, that's why I'm telling. One is Mr. Liton, another one is Mr. Shamrat. Mr. Shamrat and Liton is world ranked player in amateur, Weiger ranked player. they have world ranking. Others, top player like Farhad from Kumilla and from another guy, I forgot his name. His name is maybe Baga, Shafiq Baga. So Shahabuddin. There are some few top players, top amateur players from Bangladesh. I wish you all the best. Somebody inbox me about to let me know, to tell them about the top amateur players of Bangladesh. So these are top 5 players that I mentioned. One is Samrat. Second is, as per ranking, if I go, so far I could see a few days before, last Open, Bangladesh Open, I mean, Bangladesh Bangabandhu Amateur Open, it was in before 15 days. There I found it is Samrat, then I found it is Liton, I found Shabuddin, I found Farhad, and he's a guy, another guy is Shafiq Baga. So these 5 are the top amateur players from Bangladesh. So
well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations to all of them, and I hope they keep working hard and practicing hard so that when we start playing tournaments again, they can come out and represent Bangladesh.
Yes, yeah. This time, I hope they had been participating only APGC, but for Nomura Cup, I personally know from Nick Fold and others from India, players from India, a country, I mean team championship. So I look forward also to that one. Some team from Bangladesh may participate. If we can know the criteria from your chairman tomorrow. What is the criteria? Can you tell me about the criteria for a team to participate there in Nomura Cup?
Yes, I mean, it's a very historic tournament that started in 1963, and it's basically based on teams. You have teams of 4 players. Each country sends a team of 4 players. And they play 4 days tournament, and the 3 best scores each day will count towards the team total. So only the best 3 every day are counted. The 4th score they discard, and then all the scores are added up, and that is how they do the leaderboard. And they have the main issue is the tournament for the teams, but there is also an individual championship as well. And we've had a lot of the top players from Australia and Japan and China who have come through there. And in fact, Thailand were the last winners in 2019. And all of those players have now turned professional and are doing very well. And again, it's been a great platform for amateur players to experience tournament golf and then go on to turn professional.
Yeah, this is the Ryder Cup for amateur golf in Asia. I know. The biggest tournament, biggest golf amateur tournament of Asia is Nomura Cup. So I wanted to know, Mr. Spencer, what's about my team from Bangladesh? Can they participate?
Yes, absolutely they can. Again, I think you'll be able to get more details tomorrow. And your officials at the Bangladesh Golf Association, I know they have contact together with the APGC and with the RNA, who are the overall ruling body, and they will be aware of what the criteria are to take part and compete in this tournament. But absolutely,
why are you asking? Because we have been participating only in APGC. Maybe we have been lacking somewhere. We could not send any team so far in Nomura Cup. So far I know, last 50 years. So I have to check it back. Why it is missing? Nomura Cup, the prestigious amateur golf tournament, we had not been participating. We had been only participating in APGC individual tournament that I was talking. Okay, I'll fall back to Mr. Taimur, as you said.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So for the last time, anything you want to say to us?
Well, I just want to thank you and your team and everything that you're doing to promote golf in Bangladesh and in South Asia. And as we've discussed about the media, you know, it's critical that we keep talking about it and writing about it and keeping it in the public eye so that when this COVID situation improves, golf can really take off again. So I would encourage everyone, if you have any golf course developers out there, think about building 3-hole courses, 6-hole courses, driving ranges. You don't have to have a huge plot of land. It doesn't have to be 18 holes. And let's all of us try everything we can, the clubs, the associations, to encourage as many men, women, and children to take up the game and to stay in the game. And golf is still, in my opinion, the best sport out there. You can play it from a very young age up into your 80s and even beyond that. And it really is a sport for life. So I hope everyone gets a chance to experience it and to enjoy it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spencer. I am obliged. It's a pleasure. It was a great pleasure for us to have you again, once again. Looking forward to talk to you in future too. So thank you very much for your wonderful, wonderful thoughts and ideas and knowledge that you share with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.